In this lecture, we're going to be discussing cleansers and shampoos, which are kind of the same thing. The job of both of them is to remove anything off the surface of the skin or the hair so that it can be prepared to receive the next service. When it comes to state board studying and what do I need to know? My book is this thick. There's only 100 questions on there. So what's important? It's important to know that the state board is basically going to be designed for client protection, health, and safety. So if could involve chemical burns or such like that, then you can be pretty sure that that's important. When it comes to the shampoos and conditioners, there's really no harm, no foul. So they're just going to stick with very basic. What are the two active ingredients necessary to make a cleanser? And the answer is an acid and an alkali. That simple. They're not going to go into active ingredients, what's in it, what does this, what does that. They don't care. And this class can kind of fall between the cracks because a lot of people don't really understand the chemical composition of shampoos and conditioners, shampoos and cleansers, or hand soap or laundry detergent or whatever. So in that respect, this class is going to be a basic introduction to the chemical formulations that you have available to you. But as we get into permanent waving, we'll talk about a shampoo and conditioner that will help that type of structure change. When we do sodium hydroxide relaxers, we'll be talking about shampoos and conditioners that correct and help that type of structure change. When it's with skincare, if we're talking about normal to dry, oily acneic, each class will have with it a cleanser and a moisturizer or hydrator that's going to help the skin or the hair be fixed. Hopefully we don't, remember the definition of a chemical change. It's when you create a new substance. Well, if all the hair goes down the drain, it's not going to do much good for you to know what shampoo and conditioner she chose to use. For instance, I had only been a hairdresser maybe about 5 or 10 years, and my girlfriend came in to have her hair highlighted, and when I took her to the sink to rinse the bleach out, almost all of it went down the drain. So I picked the hair up and I go, "Is that the color you want?" And she goes, "Is that my hair?" I go, "Not anymore." Because you can never unfry chicken. Once you have created structure damage, there's no right shampoo and conditioner. You cannot unfry chicken. So the idea is to learn how to handle your chemicals, the hair, and the skin safely so that that doesn't happen to you. But that incident is what sent me to the chemistry book to find out why. Because I was devastated. There's nothing worse than seeing this happen for you, and it can be devastating. So once again, an acid and an alkali, two ingredients for a shampoo. Now within these two ingredients, I have the type of acid and the alkalis that are used by the chemist. So in a soap-based cleanser, okay, I'm going to have a fatty acid and one of these three alkalis. NaOH, we're going to be learning our chemical formulas. So NaOH is sodium hydroxide, KOH is potassium hydroxide, and NH3 is ammonia. So out of these three alkalis, the manufacturer is going to choose one of them. And then if it's a soapless cleanser, they're going to be using sulfuric acid. So the two active ingredients, an acid and an alkali, but now within that structure, I have two classifications of cleansers. I have the soap-based, which are natural, and I have the soapless, which is 90% of the stuff that we're going to be using. It's extremely difficult for you to find a soap-based cleanser. They're all soapless. And in that soapless category definition, we have what the textbook refers to as surfactant, which simply means detergent, which simply means it's synthetic or man-made, designed to imitate and replace whatever. So I'm replacing the fatty acid with a sulfuric acid, which gives me a sulfate, and that's why it's a detergent. It's synthetic. Now, if I say to the client, I think I'll just use this detergent on your face, or we'll shampoo your hair with this detergent, she's going to go, ah, I don't think so. Okay, however, if I say to you, I'm going to use a soapless cleanser, everybody's going, oh, good, that's a good idea. I'm so glad you thought of that. So words are everything. How you present information to your client, and also remember how the salesperson presents information to you. Oh, you're going to love our product. It does this and this and this and this, and you're just going to love it. And you're going, okay, then if it's an anti-frizz shampoo, what is the chemical in there that's going to be, quote, anti-frizz? If it's a volumizing shampoo, the word volume means expand, turn it up. Okay, I'm always telling my kids, turn the volume down, your stuff's too loud. Okay, so if I have a volumizing shampoo, it's going to increase the size of the hair shaft. It's going to cause it to expand, which means it's alkaline. That's not really good for the hair, especially if it has a chemical in it. If it says chemically treated, color treated, what is in this shampoo that meets that need? Okay, antibacterial is pretty much across the board. It's an ammonia base is the alkali that's used, okay, and it's quaternary ammonium compound. And as you learned in Cosmo 10B, quaternary ammonium compounds are your disinfecting agents because they destroy bacteria. So it stands to reason that that would be the alkali used in a antibacterial soap. It's also in baby shampoos. It's like a no tears. So it doesn't necessarily mean good, bad, or indifferent. It just is. Then if I'm normal to dry or normal to oily, I'm now stepping into the cleansing as far as aesthetics are too, but I have it for the hair also. So what is the difference then between a cleanser for my skin and a cleanser for my hair? If they require the same ingredient, an acid and alkali, and they have to use one of these two acids, okay, and they have to use one of these three alkalis, then what's the difference? And how would I know if the company that I'm trying to analyze is something that I need for my skin and or my hair? So we're going to talk about the soapless based cleansers, detergents, okay? And in this classification, you have 4 different types. You have the anionic surfactants, and a lot of companies, like when I was doing the research for your disodium sulfosuccinate, I was like, I had to do a little bit of research on this to bring it back up into my memory, and I'm like going, aha, okay. They kept using the word anionic surfactant. So when you're doing your research with your homework, if they're using these chemical technical terms and you don't know what they mean, then what good is it for you to read it? Although it's as close as your Siri, what is disodium sulfosuccinate? And up comes all of the information on the web so you can do your research. What is sodium lauryl sulfate? Up on the internet comes all of your information. So it's not like you have to go to the library, know how to spell the word to look it up anymore. So there's no excuse for you not getting this done. But if you hit a spot that you're like, I have no idea what they're talking about, that's when we start the communication. You need to email me, text me, call me, however you need to get a hold of me, because it's very important that as these classes progress, that you understand what I'm talking about. No way do I expect you to, quote, remember this. Your brain doesn't get a wrinkle in it for 6 times. It has to hear something 6 times before you actually get that wrinkle. Okay, so what we're looking at now is a base understanding so that you can build as we move forward. This foundation has to be solid for you. So any questions you have, be sure you communicate them to me. We can discuss them, and it's super important that we get that understanding through there. My anionic surfactant means that it's negatively charged. And usually these are in your, I didn't put clarifying up here. These are usually in your clarifying shampoos. And they're basically designed to remove the hairsprays, the styling gels, and all the gunk that we put on our hair, because all that stuff is positively charged. So when my cleanser is negative and I get that lather going, the negative ions in my cleanser pull the positive ions into the cleansing agent, so they go down the drain when I rinse the hair. The same thing is basically true with cleansers. Dermalogica's special cleansing gel is an anionic surfactant. It's negatively charged. That's because our moisturizers, our makeups, and all of this, they're all positively charged. And so for me to remove all that residue, they use a negatively charged cleanser for that. So once again, I need to be able to read my ingredients and know. So as we take a look at our 2 ingredients, we have our acid, which is over here as a sulfate, sulfur, okay? Then we have the sodium word, which is for my sodium hydroxide. So when you're reading the ingredients and you see sodium lauryl sulfate, you are looking at an anionic surfactant, because sodium hydroxide is negative, sulfuric acid is negative. Regardless of the pH, regardless of the combination, these are negatively charged cleansers. Then you may also see sodium laureth sulfate. So what's the difference between laurel and laureth, besides the ETH-YL? It's the way it's synthesized. Or in this, my analogy will be the way it's cooked. So I'll just use an example of ribs. We're going to barbecue ribs. And my grill will only hold 1 bank of ribs, but I have 2 banks. So I'm going to use the exact same meat, the exact same barbecue sauce. One is going to go on the grill and one is going in my oven. Are those going to taste the same? No, they're not. Everybody's going to want the one on the barbecue because there's something about barbecued ribs you just can't beat. The ones I did in the oven aren't going to have the same flavor. They're not going to have the same texture or consistency. And it's the method that we used to cook it. So when you're looking at sodium lauryl sulfate, if you were to look that up in the dictionary, it would say a harsh detergent. Because if you're looking at the raw chemical, that's what it is. Nobody picks up a salt shaker and goes, "Nah, nah, 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 nah. I think I need some sodium in my diet." No, because that concentrated amount of salt would gag a maggot. Not happening. They're not using a concentrated amount of sodium lauryl sulfate in shampoos and cleansers. It's a very mild part of it, and they have pH adjusters that make it okay. It's not the same thing. When I see sodium laureth sulfate, this one is not as harsh as this one. Okay. My sodium lauryl sulfate is the active ingredient in my oven cleaner. Okay, pretty harsh if I were to use that, but I don't think anybody has ever been tempted to shampoo their hair with oven cleaner. I don't think that's high on your list of I think I need to try that. When I'm looking at ammonium lauryl sulfate, I'm looking at my ammonia being the alkali, and my sulfate is still my sulfur acid. So when I have ammonium lauryl sulfate, because my ammonia is positive and my sulfuric acid is negative, this comes under the amphoteric definition, which means it can be either positive or negative. Now that depends on the pH. So if you're looking at a shampoo and you turn around and read the ingredients and you see ammonium lauryl sulfate, for you to know if it's negative or positive if they didn't tell you, then I have to test it, the pH, because I have to know the pH. If the pH is above 7, it's going to be positively charged or cationic, because my ammonia will be more than my acid. But if it's below 7 on the pH scale, let's say it's 6, then it's going to be negatively charged because I have more sulfuric acid than I do ammonia. Let's say they're equal. And there's the same amount of both. Then I'm classified as non-ionic because I am neither positive nor negative. Okay, so I have these 4 classifications. An anionic surfactant is negatively charged, and it will always be sodium lauryl sulfate. It will also be my disodium sulfosuccinate. That's an anionic surfactant also. When I'm looking once again at my ammonia, now it can be either positive or negative. If I'm looking at my antibacterial, my quaternary ammonium compound, they are cationic, period. They're positively charged. Okay, so once again, if I'm looking at which shampoo should I choose to use, what conditioner should I choose to use, for the most part, the first shampoo is only there to remove the surface stuff. The second shampoo should be to prepare the hair to receive whatever service you're going to give. And normally a negatively charged cleanser is fine because my conditioner is positively charged. Okay, so I'm going to return my cuticle to the positive charge, and my moisturizer can actually get into the cortex where it can possibly do what it needs to do to help heal the hair or fix whatever issue may have been created. When I'm doing my cleansing for my skin, I can use, Dermalogica has a really nice pre-cleanse. And in the pre-cleanse, if you read your ingredients, it's all a blend of oils and then some other inert ingredients because oils dissolve oils. And it's very mild, it's very beneficial to the skin. It's also very expensive. But once you turn around and you read the ingredients, you say, you know what? I can formulate this myself because I don't need all the preservatives. Why does a company put all these preservatives in their products? Because they want it to have a 2-year shelf life. Well, if I need my product to last me for 2 years, I may as well get into another line of service because I'm not going to make any money. If I have a bottle of shampoo and I need it to last me for 2 years, oh, really? No. If whatever I'm doing, I need to be able to use it. So when you're doing a blend of oils to create the pre-cleanse, you can use oil specific to each client. A mature skin client would be good with grapeseed oil, avocado oil, jojoba oil. In fact, everybody would be, okay, because I'm just dissolving. So I'm going to pick 5 nice oils that are accommodating to the skin. They're all gentle. Avocado is imperative because it's so full of antioxidants, vitamin E. It's amazing. It's really good. But it gets all the makeup off. Now my second cleanse is to prepare the skin for whatever service my client came in for. So if she's coming in for hydration, which is positive, my cleanser will be negative to prepare the skin for the positive service. If I'm doing an acne treatments are negative. I don't have to change the ion factor of the skin. So as we start going through procedures and such like that, we will specifically be talking about the type of cleanser, and not by name, but by ion factor. Is it positive? Is it negative? Does it matter? At home, when you're in the shower, you don't need to change the ion factor of your skin. Yet if you start looking at the cleansers, most of them are sodium lauryl sulfate. And it doesn't hurt to have that little bit of negative charge because when you step out of the shower, the first thing you do is start putting on a moisturizer, which is positive, okay? And then a really nice thing to do is, spritz your back with a toner. Just so that you cool the skin down, close the pores over that moisturizer, and you'll see that your skin likes you a lot better than if you don't do that. When we're talking now about sulfate-free, which is a real issue right now. Oh, sulfates, SLS, sodium lauryl sulfate, bad for your skin, bad for this, bad for that, and it has a bad rap, okay, because it is a sulfate. However, when I'm looking at my disodium sulfosuccinate, I am still looking at a not so nice chemical because they get this chemical with an ethylene glycol or oxide, and that's carcinogenic. Okay? And then when they're through with this synthesizing, you end up with ethoxylated chemical. And where there's probably not much residue left, it can be. Now, on the flip side, there is no reproductive issue. It's just a minimal amount of carcinogen. But the plus side to that is that disodium has a very small no, I'm sorry, large molecular structure, so it won't penetrate the skin, where sodium lauryl sulfate has a very small molecule, and it is more easily penetrated into the scalp. So if you're going to have a shampoo that makes you itchy burny, it's going to be the sulfates, because their molecular structure is so small. And I'm using hot water usually, okay, and my skin can absorb it. Where if I'm using the sulfate free, the disodium sulfosuccinate, then it has a large molecular structure. It stays on the surface of my skin and it rinses away, and so it's less itchy burny. So now if we do a recap of shampoos and cleansers, what you're going to do is you're going to look at the stuff that you already have at home. You're going to turn around and read the ingredients, okay, and you're going to find what is in it that meets this criteria. Which sulfate did they use, and what is my pH? What is the ion charge? Am I using it correctly and effectively and efficiently? That's the key. And so as we close our class on cleansers, really we're not closing it, we're just going on pause, because like I said, when we get into the other subjects and chemistry and we talk about what the structures of the hair and skin, how they respond, then we'll get more detailed. Now if you kind of remember this, you should watch this video before you watch the moisturizing and conditioning video, before you watch the toning video. But if you got them all mixed up, that's okay too, because when you go back and you re-listen, you'll kind of get it together. So the main thing to take away from this class is that the state board is going to ask you the two main ingredients. It's an acid and an alkali. They could care less if you know whether they're positive, negative. None of this is going to be on the state board. Okay, this is so that you can choose the optimum cleansing agent for your client's skin and the services that are to follow, so that you get optimum benefit from the service that you want to give.